What the
I thought you were.
Are you gonna pay for new ones?
I thought you were somebody else. This
Are you
is
gonna
so
pay for new
embarrassing.
ones?
I
Can you just make that
hell yes, I will. I will
right
pay
now?
for them.
You got Cash App?
Yes, I do.
Because what the is wrong with you?
I literally just mistaked you for somebody else. I'm so sorry.
Cash App right now.
Yeah. What's your Cash App?
Chances are that this is staged, but either way, this has to be one of the dumbest pranks of all time, if it can even be called a prank. If it were real, it would be both legally and ethically wrong. If it is fake, it is still morally wrong because many people will think it is real, and it normalizes this form of behavior. It is plausible that other morons will try to emulate this foolishness in attempts to gain the massive views that these YouTubers get. What a great influence these so-called influencers are having. Truly a benefit for humanity these people are. I am going to assume this video is staged but discuss the legal and moral issues as if it were real. That way you will be able to apply the law in real situations that are similar. The first crime here appears to be assault, followed by criminal property damage, and possibly conduct endangering persons. However, no theft has occurred despite the deprivation of property because he did not try take the earphones away. In Victoria, Australia, the Crimes Act 1958 defines assault. In subsection 1, assault means the direct or indirect application of force by a person to the body of, or to clothing or equipment worn by, another person where the application of force is A. Without lawful excuse, and B. With intent to inflict or being reckless as to the infliction of bodily injury, pain, discomfort, damage, insult, or deprivation of liberty, and results in the infliction of any such consequence, whether or not the consequence inflicted is the consequence intended or foreseen. In the case of R.V. McIver, 2019, the definition is described as, assault means the deliberate striking, touching, or application of force to the complainant. The slightest touch is sufficient to amount to an assault, and it does not have to be a hostile or aggressive act, or one that caused the complainant fear or pain. If this were staged, there would be a lawful excuse because the person would have given permission in advance for the physical contact. Otherwise, he clearly touched her and her equipment, which caused her fear and discomfort. In terms of his intent, he said he meant to target somebody else, supposedly. So he did have intent to cause harm. Now, of course, he is lying about that, but for the sake of learning, we see how this would legally unfold if it were real. So there was direct application of force to her body and equipment she was wearing without lawful excuse, and with the intent to cause discomfort. That fits the definition of assault pretty well, at least by Australian standards. The next crime is criminal property damage. The Crimes Act says, a person who intentionally and without lawful excuse destroys or damages any property belonging to another or to himself, and another shall be guilty of an indictable offense and liable to level 5 imprisonment, 10 years maximum. Property includes money, and all other property real or personal including things in action and other intangible property. So clearly he violated this because he intentionally and without lawful excuse destroyed property belonging to another person. That's clearly seen in the video, and he confessed to doing it. The final point is the crime of conduct endangering persons. This is less certain, but I think there is a case to be made here, because he is literally using scissors to cut right next to her neck while she is not looking. If she turns at the wrong time, it is absolutely foreseeable that she could be seriously cut. The Crimes Act describes this as a person who, without lawful excuse, recklessly engages in conduct that places or may place another person in danger of serious injury is guilty of an indictable offense. Serious injury is defined as A. An injury, including the cumulative effect of more than one injury, that I. endangers life, or I. is substantial and protracted. And here is how it was described in R.V. Wilson, 2005. Now, the elements of the offense of reckless conduct endangering a person are 1. That the accused engaged in the conduct alleged, here, the discharge of the rifle. 3. That objectively, a reasonable person, in the position of the accused, engaging in the very conduct in which the accused engaged, would have realized that the conduct placed, or might place, the alleged victim in danger of serious injury, that is, under exposure to an appreciable risk of serious injury. 4. That, subjectively, the accused was reckless in that he foresaw that a probable consequence of the conduct was serious injury to the alleged victim, or, it may be, the danger of serious injury to the alleged victim in the sense of exposure of the latter to an appreciable risk of serious injury, and displayed indifference as to whether or not that consequence should occur. That is, nevertheless went ahead and engaged in the conduct. And 5, that the accused had no lawful excuse for the conduct. Putting scissors and cutting next to someone's neck while they are not looking is a disaster waiting to happen. I think there is a strong case here that the conduct is endangering a person, though I would not argue that there is a risk of death, which is a more serious offense. Legal aspect aside, I want to analyze how they react, and let's continue to pretend it is real for the sake of education.
What the f?
This seems to be a perfect example where dropping the F-bomb is reasonable. In general, people swear way too much in public, but there are cases where it is justified.
I thought you were...
Are you gonna pay for new ones?
I thought you were somebody else. This
Are you
is
gonna
so
pay for new
embarrassing.
ones?
I
Can you pay that
hell yes, I will
right
pay
now?
for them.
You got Cash App?
Yes, I do.
How annoying is it that she asks, "Are you going to pay for new ones?" and he doesn't answer the question? Can people stop doing that, please? Just answer the question and then say what you want after. Don't keep her in suspense and make her repeat herself. And the fake remorse is so insufferable. How about instead of being sorry, you stop being a degenerate loser? How about you make a meaningful contribution to society? How about you stop being a failure of a human being and start being a productive human being? As for the lady, I am surprised she only asked for $20. She should have asked for at least $50. But more importantly, why did she not call the police? If this happened to me, I would have called the police. Lock this loser up. Get this creep of the streets.
Because what the f is wrong with you?
I literally just mistaked you for somebody else. I'm so sorry.
Cash App right now.
Yeah. What's your Cash App?
It's a very important question. What the F is wrong with you? Because something has clearly gone wrong with this loser to make him be such a scumbag. Usually when people grow up, they stop doing these idiotic pranks. If he were a young teenager, I wouldn't be so harsh. But he doesn't look that young. And if he was a teenager, I would simply ask, what the hell is wrong with the parents for allowing their kid to do this? Let this be a reminder for parents to teach their children proper ethics. You have to tell them that these types of behaviors are not acceptable. You have to explain to them that jokes and pranks that harm people or property are not acceptable. You have to explain it to them and more than once. They have to understand this. There are too many cases of kids causing extreme damage because the parents failed to educate them. I have read plenty of such cases, and I know for a fact that the parents are significantly to blame because they failed to properly raise their children. Don't be among the failed parents. Educate yourselves and your children. Read books on moral education. Use Google to find them. It is not hard. If we want to know what is wrong with people like this guy, we need to look at the parents. The root of this immorality is parents failing to instill proper ethics into their children. Schools are also guilty of this failure, since they do not have dedicated classes to ethics. And society as a whole is responsible, from the average Joe to the politicians, because almost no one is advocating moral education be required in schools and morally obligated by parents. Virtually no one is talking about this. We hear more discussions about sports than about the need for parents and schools to teach ethics. It's evil and pathetic. A different point to consider is that she was just chilling and minding her own business without any worries for her safety. Now he violated that and caused fear and anger. Do you think now when she goes out she will feel just as safe as she did before, or less safe? We want to create and maintain a society where people feel safe in public and private. Crime creates anxiety and the feeling of unease that something could happen to me. No society should want that. No society should tolerate crime that makes people feel unsafe. Finally, let's not forget that the cameraman is also a degenerate loser, and so is everyone who could have stopped this, but didn't. If his friends knew he was going to do this, but didn't attempt to talk him out of it, they are partially responsible. If you could have prevented someone from sinning, but didn't, you are partially responsible. This is as the Talmud says in Shabbat 54b. Anyone who had the capability to effectively protest the sinful conduct of the members of his household and did not protest, he himself is apprehended for the sins of the members of his household and punished. If he is in a position to protest the sinful conduct of the people of his town, and he fails to do so, he is apprehended for the sins of the people of his town. If he is in a position to protest the sinful conduct of the whole world, and he fails to do so, he is apprehended for the sins of the whole world. Anyway, please like, subscribe, comment, and thanks for watching.